Hey, what's up you guys? So in today's video, we're going to actually help some of you newer or maybe more budget Yu-Gi-Oh players with a topic that is, how can you make a lower tier Yu-Gi-Oh deck function like a high tier Yu-Gi-Oh deck? Well, we're gonna preface this of course by saying, low tier decks are low tier for a reason. And when we say low tier, we mean, not Shadalls, Knights, Burning Abyss.
Not the top three right now.
So, this is going to be a bit of just generalized advice. This isn't like super scripted or anything. So, of course I've got Trell. He knows more about, building rogue decks and winning with them. Okay. Well, I sure don't.
That's partially true.
So, when you're playing a low tier deck, there are limitations. What would you say are the main... What makes these low tier decks? What's the weakness that you usually see in these lower tier decks?
Usually there's no continuity. The consistency is bad, or it's just that, or it could be just the format. Sometimes a deck could have been really good in a certain prime, but the format has just been really bad to it by release of new cards, a release of a new archetype, a banning of very important cards, or just in general not enough support for that specific type of deck.
I'd say, for me, I've kind of boiled it down to maybe like 4 things. Okay. It's like it's either not consistent enough, not plusy enough, not fast enough, or it can't make power plays. So,
your turn.
Yeah. In some form, I'd say it's like some combination of those 4 things. And so, when I'm playing low tier decks and I try to make them better, I feel like the first bit of advice I would say would be like you have to really stretch your pluses as far as they'll go, because with high tier decks, the Shadalls and stuff, the pluses are free.
Yeah.
You just summon your Nebs, you summon your Altair, you summon your Falco. It all just stuff's given to you. But with these low tier decks, you do have to work harder for +1s and actual advantage.
Everything is limited.
Resources. Yeah. So I feel like you really have to stretch cards as far as they'll go.
It's pretty much what do you mean in regards to that? I don't know if anybody ever played the Go Control format, but in the Go Control format, Go Control is probably one of the best decks of that format. But it was also one of those decks where you knew what you had, and then you also knew that it was limited. So you had to save your big plays for when they counted it, like Tribe Infecting Virus and shit like that. Like those are your big plays at that time. So it's pretty much how these lower tier decks are now. Like you only have a certain amount of advantage that you can pull off, and you got to do it at the right time. As opposed to, like he said, Shadalls and Burning Abyss that are just freebies just because you can blink and you got more shit. So
yeah, I would also say that when you're making lower tier decks, it feels like the trap lineup becomes a lot more important for lower tier decks than it does for higher tier decks.
Yeah, the support is always going to be way more important. I mean, no matter what you're playing, you pretty much, and that's one of the things that you have to do with lower tier decks, that you kind of have to incorporate some of the meta, probably floodgates and things like that into the deck itself, just to make it be more able to counteract what you're going to be facing.
Yeah, not everybody wants to hear that either. Like most people, I want to play my aliens how I want to, But the thing is, when you're playing aliens, you have to accept that you kind of have to use a lot more traps. You have to try to main deck. If you have floodgate cards, your Fiendish Chains and things tend to become a lot more important because your deck really does need that defense. That's kind of one of the things, a lot of higher tier decks can get away with not necessarily running as many traps or support spells and traps. They can sort of run their own stuff, and their plays are strong enough to just get their problems, solve their problems. But for lower tier decks, I think that a good trap lineup is usually a lot better.
Another thing that really works with the lower tier decks is the element of surprise. Like you said, as far as low tier decks and things like that, I'm okay with them. I got my very first top at the regionals with Naturius, which at the time was when we had triple Kalu for Black Wings, and this was back then we had triple Kalu with triple Black Whirlwind. We had Christia Sworn and shit like that, and I got top 8 with Naturius, mainly because most people didn't play the cards, so they didn't know what they did, and pretty much I completely caught them off guard because they didn't know what I was able to do because they've never seen the deck run before in a competitive circuit. So a lot of times, if you're gonna play a lower tier deck, it's good to catch them off guard because even by the time that they have a chance to find out what you're doing, they still don't know what the deck is capable of because they don't play with it.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's actually, as much as I hate to quote pro players,
thank you.
I've read in articles and stuff before. I think it was Fraser Smith wrote an article that said that a lot of surprise, I read that shit.
I thought that was your brother.
Shut up. He said that low tier decks, a lot of their strength, especially things like Chain Burn and Exodia Draw and stuff, comes strictly from your opponent not knowing what to do. If you can take people off guard, it's really helpful. But that doesn't just apply to like Chain Burn. Like he said, Naturia, who knows what Naturias do? No one really, like, most players have no clue what Naturias do. Most players don't even, honestly, when I get into Duel Network, some people don't even know what, like, X-Sabers and stuff do.
Yeah.
Because they started playing this game in, like, 2012 at maybe 13. They don't know what X-Sabers do. They don't know what's a Blackwing. And that's really sad that there are.
Like right now, Battery Man has slowly made it creep into like some of the
into being
the higher
playable,
tier deck.
more than
playable
playable,
deck.
really.
And I saw this past regionals that I judged. There were so many people playing Battery Man that were winning because nobody knew what to stop, because you knew what Battery Man did back in the day, but now they have a new concept for the most part to them. And so it's like, what do we stop now? Because the first we had to stop the OTK. Now there's other players outside the OTK. We don't know what to do. We just got to kind of feel our way out, and by that time you've lost. So it really does help.
I'd say another good tip. Don't be afraid to mix in a bit of an engine that maybe the meta decks are using. It's a little bit boring and everyone complains about it, but if you put trap tricks in your deck, your deck usually gets a bit better.
It became a little more consistent.
And if you put artifacts in your deck, it usually helps. I mean, it's not fun. No one I
like artifacts.
People complain about artifacts are going in everything now.
Hands are going in everything.
Hands, artifacts,
but they're
trap
just that
tricks.
good.
You gotta, when you're running low tier decks, put those cards in there.
You gotta make it work for you. That's pretty much what it is.
It helps, especially when you see new age builds of like something like Dino Rabbit. You only have one rabbit. You can't rely on drawing it. So when you have things like 2 or 3 Fire and Ice hands, it's a play. It's a safe play that you can make while you're actually waiting for your deck to start coming together.
Doing what you built it to do, pretty much.
So things like hands, things like artifacts, things like trap tricks, even the decks that can run like Tinkies and Bears.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, sometimes. I mean, not everybody wants to, I don't want to put meta parts in my deck, but
it helps.
It does help a lot.
Any meta card that's going to give you more consistency and just give you a better chance at winning, you kind of got to play it. And we do have some stubborn players that said that they won't play it, and that's fine. Of course, you can play your deck how you want to, but...
This is if you want to win with low tier.
Yeah, if you want a chance to at least win, like I said, then yeah. It's like, I don't know how you guys feel about it right now in this format, but everybody is saying that Yang Zing is one of the lower tier decks because of the rest of the decks in the format. But there have been people topping with the deck, and I've been seeing a lot of people do a lot of deck profiles and videos on it, and they ask them how'd you do so well. The number one thing was my opponent didn't know what anything did. They didn't know what to stop.
No one
so I was going to make all my plays. So by the time they actually had to play for me, it was too late. I already made my big plays, and they didn't know what to do. So, and I love the element of surprise. It's kind of what Artifacts is. Artifacts is the element of surprise. So I love the element of surprise. So
let's see.
Catch them off guard. Fuck them.
I'd say that maybe the last trick would be if you're playing a low tier deck, I think that you have to really have a good understanding of what you're playing.
Yes.
That sounds like duh, but if you're playing, let's say you're playing Aliens, you need to understand the maximum lengths your deck can go to get out of a situation, or what is the highest possible attack that your deck can reach.
Right.
And most people don't think about it. Do you have an out to Leo? Within your deck and your extra deck, for example, do you have something that can get over 3100, or can you stop? Do you have an out to
Bills,
to things like Bills, things like Winda, things like shooting spark or whatever it's called, Stardust Spark Dragon. Do you have outs to these cards?
Grandma.
What is the most your deck can do? Don't just think about the basic I can use Rabbit and go into 2 alien things and overlay in a king for. What can your deck do when it's pushed against the wall?
Right.
Because those are the situations that you're gonna they're gonna happen. So if you are aware of the most that your deck can do,
then you can plan better.
Yeah, it really helps.
It does.
What do you have?
What else do we have? It's low tier. There's really nothing else to say about that. Just be smart. Main thing, like you said, you have to know the ins and outs of your deck. And it's also good if you're gonna play a low tier deck. It's also good to know what the top meta does as well, because I know a lot of times I see a lot of players. A lot of players that play low tier decks. They're really good with their deck, but they have no idea what the high meta decks do because they don't like to play meta, which is fine. But my thing is, in anything that you do, you should be well versed in everything. It's a game of war, which means you should be well aware of what your opponent's capable of, as well as aware of what you are capable of. And it doesn't work on one side or the other. It has to be on both sides. So if you're gonna play a low tier deck and you're playing against the Tellar Knights, you have to know what the Tellar Knights are gonna do and what they can do.
You're not the only one getting to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Exactly. So you have to be prepared for the fact that your opponent. I mean, because your opponent's there to win, just like you are. So your opponent's gonna do everything they can, and they're playing a higher tier deck, which means the advantage is literally already in their favor. Except you're playing a low tier deck that they just may not have any idea of, which gives you the element of surprise. So it keeps you guys on a level playing field. You just have to be smarter than your opponent to that extent. You have to know what they can do, when they do it, before they do it, and how you can counteract that.
Well said.
So yeah.
So yeah, we hope you guys like this. These were honestly great tips in my opinion. You know, if you're playing low tier, you have to accept that while you're at a disadvantage, you can still beat high tier decks, but it does take some preparation.
And a lot of mind fucking.
That too.
I'm not gonna lie, I've actually done good at regionals by mind fucking my opponents. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen me in person, and this is just me personally. But
yeah, he doesn't crack up. Yeah.
Whatever.
No. I'm serious. Like he every time I play you, it's like you have like horribly dead cards set, but you will not like you won't.
My poker face. Yeah.
You really have to be like that though.
Like yeah, but I mind fuck. Like, I kid you not. I remember one time I was playing against somebody in the regionals, and I had shit hands, and a lot of guys in my region, they call me the rub. We're not gonna go there, but they call me the rub. And what I ended up doing was I ended up like rubbing my opponent's arm, freaked him the fuck out, blew him off his game, beat the shit out of him. Never saw it coming. Like I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not saying funnel your opponent unless they're into that kind of thing. But mind fucking does work. I mean, psychology is a real thing in any game. Like I said, my poker face is awesome. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna joke. I'm gonna do everything to let you believe that everything I have face down is to fuck your life up, even if it's not. Even if it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, it can be 3 fucking dead soul charges, no monsters. You're going to believe that no matter what you do, I've got to play for it. You got to mind fuck. Like I said, once again, your opponent is coming into this game without knowledge of what you're capable of. I'm going to mind fuck these shit.
Take advantage.
Yes, I am. And no offense, but you're probably going to lose because you don't know what I'm going to do. You don't know what I could have done. So, I remember one time I was playing the regionals, and my opponent was playing, I was playing Fire Kings. My opponent was playing Evil Swarm. And I had like 3 back rows. He had he had monsters to do something. He could have cowboyed me for game, but he was so afraid that what I had face down, he wouldn't cowboy me.
Yeah, people.
And so I just came back and beat
will trip.
Yeah,
they will trip.
You freak them the fuck out and you win. Like,
so take some of this advice.
Yeah, and if you guys have any tips, you guys should put them down in the comments below. We'd love to hear your ideas as well.
And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more stuff. Sharing is the best way to support. It lets everybody see it, which is great. And yeah, if you like it, show that you like it.
And I challenge you to a Make a Phantom Beast duel. What's up? Who got some? Who won it? Also,
yeah, he does play.
I need I know it's really bad. Yeah, I mean, and I'm usually not a low tier deck player, but I get bored with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I'm a judge and who gives a. But if any of our subscribers out there have a Mecha Phantom Beast, was it Orion or whatever it is, I need one. So if anybody has one that they can give me, please let me know. I just need one. I can't find one around here. Like what the fuck? Who does that? But we just need one.
Go figure.
I want one O-line, and then I want to play that. In fact, if I get the bill right, I'll play it at the fucking regional just to be a jerk. Help us out, please.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.